Jason, you and I grew up in some of the same communities. What's one memory from your childhood that still makes you smile?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes.
That's one thing. I'm thinking about memories with you. I don't know if how. I think there was a time when you were a smoker, right?
I was about to say Players Light.
Yeah.
I saw a pack of Players Light on your dresser in your bedroom. I
Was
smoked
it my
Annahatak
Players
No,
Light?
it was his.
Yeah. No.
Oh, that he stole from his grandmother.
That might have happened, but
She used to smoke Players Light.
Yeah, I was too secretive. Like I would get like contraband cigarettes, like save up money, and I was too chicken shit to steal.
Okay, especially from her.
Yeah. So I don't know. I remember. Maybe it's not necessarily a nice, fond thing, but we're no longer smokers. That's the nice thing, right? Yeah. But like I remember your late brother. I was friends with him, and he was the person I started smoking with. He smoked before me. And I was 13 at the time. And then I recall when you made your trips to Inuk, separate from your brother, a year or two later, like you smoked a lot more than your brother. And then because we hung out, you ramped up my smoking a lot.
I apologize for increasing your cancer risk factor at the age of 13.
We can laugh about it now.
Yeah, I did smoke a lot.
Yeah. I do remember
Everybody
those.
was smoking in those days.
Yeah.
Everybody,
All the
everywhere, on the
kids.
plane.
I mean,
I remember the school used to smell like cigarette in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Well, you could still smoke anywhere back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but more seriously, more maybe fond memories. The question was, what's
one memory from childhood that still makes you smile?
I remember waking up on summer mornings when it's warm, where like there are, and it's rare that I get this, but there are more mornings that are really still, no wind, no mosquitoes, sunny, and nobody's up, nobody's driving, and there are birds chirping. I don't know why, but I remember hearing and feeling that a lot when I was a kid. Probably, obviously, because I lived there. You know, you live there, you're there every day, right? It's quite rare that I see that, but maybe part of it is also just as a child up north, your wonder for nature, for the outdoors, for calmness, for serenity. So I don't know why, but I'm thinking about that.
And for
now.
the summer, because the summer was so small.
Yeah. It's fleeting, right? Mm-hmm. It's very short. Mm-hmm. So I remember making the most of those, just going for a walk, looking for birds or lemmings or whatever, 8, 9, 10-year-old boys do. Uh-huh. So that's what I remember a lot. I remember a lot of sliding too. Cigarettes was a little bit later, I guess.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jason Annahatak. I'm originally from Inuk. I grew up there. I was born in Kuujjuaq originally, but between being born and the age of 5, my parents moved around because my dad was a northern stores. I almost said Hudson Bay manager. So we spent a year or two in POV, Puvuknituk, another year or two in Sanikilo. Eventually, by the time I got to kindergarten, we moved back to Inuk, which is where my mother's hometown is. And I started his school journey there. Mm-hmm. So I did essentially all of my primary and most of my secondary there. And I grew up there. I currently work at Makifik right now. I've been to university, have a couple of degrees in different fields, have been have thought of myself as a lifelong learner on multiple subjects. But as I go, as I get a little bit more into maybe the middle age, I find as much as anyone can learn, there's still a whole lot. You can't always master everything. So I don't know. I trying to make it, not trying to make it sound like a humble brag or anything, but the older I get, sometimes the less I feel like I know. So I don't know if that's part of the intro, but that's my thought process today.
Yeah, sounds very philosophical. So, as you were saying that you moved around a lot early in your childhood, it reminds me of you going all over the world. Can you talk about those experiences and why you went to these different places, and like tell us where you went?
Yeah. So I think the travel bug first hit me 2002, so 23 years ago or so. And I decided to study in Hong Kong as a university student. I was an exchange student. My university sent me there. Their university sent someone here. And it was just sort of a wild, metaphorical sort of shooting a dart at the map. So I chose Hong Kong because it was like any of the other, not like the typical places like university students want to go to Australia or Europe or the typical places, US. I wanted to go somewhere different. So I chose it that way. And so I've lived in Hong Kong for close to a year. After that, I did a master's degree in New York City. And then the year after that, I lived in Germany. And I'm actually skipping another year where I spent a school year, about 9 months maybe, teaching English in France. So I've lived in about 4 different countries. This came up with my kids the other day, and they were like, where were we? So,
cute.
Yeah.
My angustia.
Yeah. So this conversation came up, and I had not ever tabulated it that way.
Yeah.
I've lived in 4 different countries.
Wow.
As a result of going to school, university or teaching. So I lived it up quite a bit. I really
and you
liked
also
those days.
did a stint in Russia.
Yeah, I did like half a summer, like a month, maybe a month and a half. So I lived with a host family, which was fascinating. And I asked to be with a host family specifically that didn't speak English because I was studying Russian at the time. And like that was a lesson because they really didn't speak English.
I only know vodka.
Yeah.
Me too, apparently.
You can say vada, water, for a sober person.
Okay. I'll
And
say
then
that
you can
instead.
mix them.
That's how I loved my drink.
I remember when you first were moving to Hong Kong, and do you remember that too?
I feel like I remember that a bit now, yeah.
But for me, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
just
Jason
when you
is
said
moving
Hong
to
Kong.
Hong Kong, like it was so.
I know. I was a big in the family telephone tree too. It was
Yeah.
a big. Jason is my cousin. His
Yeah.
grandmother and my grandfather were brother and sister.
Yeah.
And my mom was raised by his grandma. So I remember when he went to Hong Kong, we still have the chopsticks you gifted us.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we're not allowed to eat with them. They're
yeah.
purely decorative.
Back then, that was like the equivalent of you going to Saturn.
The moon, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is because you have to understand that where we come from in Nunavik, like my hometown, in my upbringing, we were 350 people. And in Gangetsuk, it was just a little bigger, maybe 450 people.
Yeah.
And like knowing someone who you grew up with, who's venturing out into this giant world to study was very unusual.
Yeah.
And like, wow, like, and I think that's where like my, not that my high regard for you really started.
You elevated
I should do
that
another trip
moment.
then.
Saturn.
Yeah, because I always looked up to you, because you're Jason. Everybody knows you. Like, you're Jason, and you're this great person who's brave and not afraid to fly into the world. And yeah, so I look up to you, and I've always have. And
I think even less or smaller than that made you so big to us even back then was you were one of the first people we knew in our age group that had a license and a car.
To drive a car?
Yeah. And I always think, oh, shit, Jason's just way up there, you know? So
very responsible. He's always been the very responsible one.
Yeah.
We were just fucking around all the time.
Yeah.
We can swear here, huh?
Yeah.
But you've always been like this super responsible. Like, you went to college. Like, I didn't even, when I graduated high school at 16, pregnant, and my boyfriend proposed to me during our graduation dinner, like, my life was done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to school. I'm
You're
gonna
not
be
going
a
to
wife.
Hong Kong.
I'm not going to Hong Kong. I'm not going to no university. So, like, and that was the reality of so many people.
That is
And it's
the
still,
reality of so
it's
many
better,
people.
I mean, it's less now. Like, I think we see a lot more teenagers who want to learn, who want to go to college, who want to go to university. They like, there's more people graduating with goals to pursue higher education, like to go further in post-secondary studies. But at the time, you were like pioneering that stuff.
Yeah, I pushed the envelope a little bit on various things. I think the thing that really pushed it is going to New York, because the tuition fee, as many people know, tuition fee is the charge to go to school in the U.S. is so high, and that was a challenge to get the funding to be able to do that. I had to delay going there, so that for me was sort of like a big milestone to achieve, and I'm very grateful that Inuit supported me and KRG supported me in that, because they did, and they came through in a huge way. But yeah, the being able to travel was also, enabled by the school board as well to Hong Kong, because I assured them that it didn't cost extra to be able to go to Hong Kong. It was because our universities were switching students. I would just pay the McGill fee. So essentially, it cost no more than it did to send me to McGill, which is the story behind why I was able to go too. But I'm realizing as you're saying this that I used to put myself out there a lot. Maybe part of it is I remember being interviewed by, I believe it was Alec Gordon, on CBC while I was in Hong Kong. There was a 12-hour delay in time difference in time zones, so we had to time it properly. But I used to do a lot of those. I did at least 2 of them. I did one for Nunavik News, and I was happy to be out there. But as I grow older, I'm realizing, as you guys are talking about me, I'm feeling a little bit like, and I've tried to not be in the spotlight as much as I did then. And it wasn't a super conscious thing that I did. I think people just found what I was doing fascinating, and they would come and ask me, and I would go, yeah, let's do it. And I remember in more than one instance, maybe when I was working on the cruise ships, people would say, Inuit, Nunavik have to hear about your story, because it's so unusual. We want other people to do it. And that was my kind of rallying cry to doing a lot of these publicity articles or interviews. And I was very happy to do them. But as I got a little bit older, into my 30s, and now, into my 40s, I've been asked a couple of times, and thankfully I'm not as interesting now as I was then, maybe. Because
you are.
because I'm shyer. I want to be more in the background. I don't want to, and I grew up in Kangatsuk. I mean, we all grew up north, right? But I'm not. People say you're not like a typical Inuk. You're right. I look white. I pass for a white person, so I'm familiar with that too. And there's all that, exploration you do when you're in your young adulthood. So people used to say, "Yeah, you're such a role model for young Inuit." I said, I hope to be, but I also know I'm not like your average Inuk. So I want to put it out there. I don't pretend to be your average Inuk. I'm not, and I'm not blind to say anyone can do this. Like anyone should be able to do it.
Just that that you are privileged.
But Jason, you're not like the typical, but you are also like the average Inuk.
But
that's what's different, though, is that, okay, maybe you're not like, but when you're with us, you are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I come from Nunavik. My family, my parents, my brother, my niece, we're still all, everyone that I am close to is from Nunavik. So there's no one's taking that out of me. So there's no denying that. Not trying to prove anything, but some people, I would have journalists say, "Hey, you should share your story as much as possible to inspire young Inuit." And I want to do that, but I also want to be conscious that I'm a little different too.
Yeah, realistically. Yeah.
I just want to jump in here because I'm a bit younger than your generation, and I was kind of the little kid in the corner watching you guys, all cool teenagers. And back in the days when I was going to school, I was already bilingual by the time I was in kindergarten. And the possibilities that were handed to us, even when kids are bright early, it's, "Oh, you read so well, you can be a secretary, or you can be a translator."
Like
and
local
not
jobs.
Never, you could go to Colombia, or you could spend a semester in Hong Kong if you work hard like you're doing now. Like, it was never, the world was never handed to us as an opportunity. And so you just being you, having fun, doing your teenage adventuring, it, like when I was talking to Beatrice, when she became sober, it made it possible for other people to imagine that too. Even if, you're white passing. Obviously, I'm half Inuk, half Haitian too. And there's different, like, we experience the world differently, but we really were literally raised in Kangatsuk, on the mattress on the floor, drinking sweet tea in a bottle, like everybody else. But
Yeah, it's, I don't, like, I'm not, and I'm also not disagreeing with some of the journalists who would come to me to say, "You're such an inspiration." I go, I thank you, but I don't want to hold that mantle, that weight. Like, I don't want to be a...
Same with us
you don't
about
have
being
to.
sober.
Yeah.
We don't want to hold, we're not the map there. We're not the trophy to get there, but we kind of did it,
Speaking of trophies, Mike or Chris, can you come here for a moment?
I said trophy a lot this week. So if you got another surprise for me, Mike boy, you gonna get my newfie out?
No, at Northern, we like to Northern Tanya.
Yes, they like to do this to me.
So I present this trophy to Tanya, world's best driver,
Oh, boy.
2025. Because she drove all the way to Montreal from New Brunswick
All by herself.
All by herself.
I would like to thank you for believing in me.
I want to thank the SAQ.
And thank goodness the mooses are safe.
Otherwise, they'd have to take it home and mend it.
The mooses.
I get to keep this.
Yes, it's yours. It's yours. It has your name on it.
You guys are too much. Thank you. I love it. I love it. So proud of myself.
How cute. I love it.
Because I'm a really nervous driver, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to drive here 8 hours all by myself. I've never done anything close to that. Mm-hmm. So I kept saying, I want a trophy for doing it. So I have been saying that all week. So they finally gave me
She said that last night.
That was not so subliminal.
No, I was serious. I felt like I deserved a trophy.
There you go.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay, back to our conversation. Where were we?
Oh my God.
Anyway.
No, yeah. You were talking about your humility and the achievements and how you don't want to be
Oh, yeah, okay.
defined by all the cool stuff you've done.
Yeah, I want to make, like, I'm super grateful for all those experiences. And they came out of a place where I was curious. I wanted to go out and learn. I wasn't trying to prove anything or do any. This was before the day, like, think about it, 2002. There's no Facebook. There was no social media. Like, I wasn't doing it for any of that.
Yeah.
And even if I wasn't terrible at social media
I don't think
today,
we've ever thought that, though. I don't think we've ever thought that you were trying to do something to.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we've ever thought that.
Yeah,
No.
maybe I'm just self-conscious about it,
Mm-hmm.
partly because it's been a while since I've talked about it, and I feel some part of me feels like it's a long time, but it's on the subject of childhood and growing up. So
totally.
it's formative years, so it's relevant. But I think I'm just trying to say I'm a little bit embarrassed about it because when people talk to me,
I get that
I even
too.
get a little teary.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, people are watching me.
Yeah.
Scary,
too.
but good.
How did our community shape us when we were young? So let's get into that.
How did our community shape us when we were young? I remember growing up, Kayensuk was it felt something like a sleepy town, a town with a dry town. Didn't have a bar. That still doesn't have a bar. Still doesn't sell alcohol locally, at least legally. It felt close knit. Dancing was a big thing. It's still a big thing today.
Dancing.
Yeah. And I should show you the video that I made from the grant that you helped me get like 10 plus years ago. Like, I finished a short edit, like it's very short, like, and it's not good quality.
To see it.
It's not good quality, but the plan was to make, because even though I'm not an expert dancer, I love that our community holds this like so important to us.
Yes.
And I wanted. Back in the day, I was into, video creating and editing and making short films.
And you're really good at that.
I used to be. I used to like it a lot, but I haven't done it in like many, many years. So I kind of dropped it.
Who has time for fun now?
I know, with kids. So there's a little clip there. I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
But I did that because it was dear to my heart. And 10 years ago, I would have been in my mid-30s. So even then, and I live here, but that's a part of me that I feel like we should hold dear. Square dancing specifically at Christmas, because it's a big thing in our community. But what else about our town? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, how did our community shape us when we were young?
So my appreciation for dance is there. I think that's one big part. I'm not a great outdoorsman, but I like nature, being outside. So I think that's maybe a result of that too.
Of course.
Yeah.
What about you, Janice?
I moved a lot And so I was half in Aupaluk and half in Kangitsuk most of my early childhood. And it was different experiences in different communities. Like my home in Aupaluk with my mom's mom and step-grandfather and my uncles was quiet. And we only had CBC and APTN. And then I would go to Kangitsuk and I would go be at Annahatak, who is actually Jason's grandmother, but I called her Annahatak growing up because she raised my mom after my mom's father passed away and my grandmother couldn't raise all of her kids anymore. So in Kangitsuk, it was a metropolis to me because they had a Northern, they had Slush, they had Teletoon, and there were so many other kids you could play with. But my experience in Aupaluk was that I didn't experience really any bullying at all. But in Kangitsuk, there was a lot more bullying than just because of the larger population, I think, of the community. And, everybody in Aupaluk is cousins. And maybe only half the people in Kangitsuk are cousins. So I was like, the difference in the size of your family in a community, I think it changes your experience of it a bit too.
Yeah.
So, but I always loved it.
I too experienced bullying in Kangitsuk.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Yeah. When I was very young, like 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
Which I didn't experience in my hometown in Huatak. I would go to Kangitsuk a lot throughout my childhood ever since I can remember. My mom would
put you
travel
on a plane, or
she would travel a lot and put me in the plane. Yes, send me off to Harriet, my aunt, who will be on our podcast soon. Harriet Giliutak. And there was a time where I guess I had to be with Harriet for more than 2 weeks because I had to go to school in Kangitsuk for a little bit. And I think I was in grade 2. Grade 1 or grade 2. And I remember being so shy. And I won't name any names.
Do it.
But there was a big boy and a skinny little one who were best friends. And we were all in the same class. And Ali Kalak was our teacher. And they were bullying me.
Boys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was always boys.
Yeah. And then another time it was a group of girls.
Yeah.
Another time who were forcing me to say, I love Kangitsuk Canadians.
I have such a different experience with Kangitsuk. Because I spent a lot of time there too.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in foster care, and there was a certain point while I was in foster care that my Uncle Tom and my Aunt Lizzie tried their best to adopt me, and they had me for some quite time, and that's where we lived. So for me, when we were speaking earlier about losing who truly loves you in this world, my first memories of love and safety were there. I don't know if it was because people had a lot of sympathy for me because of my situation. They knew that I came under really tough circumstances, so people were extra gentle with me. But when even today, when I see a picture of somebody from Kangitsuk or something that reminds me of that, I feel love. That's what it reminds me of. Whereas, as prominent as that feeling is for there somewhere else, it's a really different feeling. So and I guess that's my first sense of community too, because in every direction, everywhere I went, and I think maybe because of the way that I looked too, I looked different. So they treated me like I was a little doll, and probably that's what I needed at that time because I was so neglected before that. So I got extra in that, and it maybe gave me a little bit of balance. So all my memories of that time are my best memories. Yeah. And even I find today when I have really peaceful dreams, I'm on the hills in Kangsuk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you mentioned both of you experiences of bullying, like my first thought was, that's.
You hope it wasn't you?
That's not good.
It wasn't everyone, and it wasn't all the time. It was just that it almost never happened in Aupaluk, but it would happen in Kangsuk occasionally.
My first thought was, well, I didn't experience it, and then I thought maybe it's because I lived there. I was accustomed there, but then I went, wait, no, I thought of, again, I won't name names like you, but like there's an older guy who is like 3 years, when you're in school, you think of levels, right? Grades.
Yeah.
A guy 3 or 4 grades, he would tease me and just say stuff. I didn't absorb it that much, but he was chippy. That's what I remember. But I remember this one distinct moment where he was like playing. He was never violent and he was never threatening, but he was teasing. And then one day at recess, we would play behind the hill on the school, which has a very steep hill. I was trying to run away from him. I was above him and I jumped, like there was snow all around. So you could jump like a Superman jump right down the hill, and he caught my leg and it terrified me. So, I mean, I got away unscathed. He didn't do anything. He was doing it because he knew he could kind of softly terrorize you, you know?
Yeah.
And I realize I've kind of packaged that in my head as that's not bullying. But when I go, no, he was persistent,
and
you know?
Let's talk about let's talk about that, because a lot of times when we're living something, we don't recognize. We don't realize that it's abuse.
Yeah.
The way we I guess part of the defense mechanism, like the survival mechanism, or the
social expectations of not talking back or fighting back, I find really...
Yeah.
And putting it aside so it doesn't hurt. So you don't have to feel it. Yeah.
And so like all these things play into like our inability to see abuse as abuse.
Yeah.
And
we justify some things, right?
Yeah. Like, for example, we tolerate people who are verbally abusive.
Yeah.
And we say, well, he's not hitting me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. You justify it by
Minimizing
making yourself little, right?
Minimizing it.
Yeah.
Minimizing
it.
And like, and this is what we talk about in the trainings that I co-facilitate, like the healing workshops and the grief support workshops, is recognizing like what abuse is. That it doesn't have to be physically violent. It's words, it's actions, it's the way you.
The way you make people around you feel.
So
the intention to harm,
Are these stuff that you learned, let's say when you were in psychology, when you were studying psychology?
Yeah, so I studied psychology for about 5 years, a 3-year bachelor's degree and another 2-year master's degree. You learn about a lot of these theories. There's multiple psychosexual theory of development, psychosocial theory of development, and then there's a lot of others that I've forgotten. I have to say that I haven't worked in that field in a long time, so I'm not in that mindset that much. But you learn about it on a theoretical level and on a high level textbook type academic perspective.
So now that you're not a student, you're not in that field, but as a father, now you have young children now.
Yeah.
Do you see, like, do you apply the stuff you learned, or do you see the stuff you learned when you were in psychology, when you're a parent?
Yeah, I think you might be familiar with some of the phrasing. If I recall that you've been to CEGEP, and I think you finished too. So I don't know if you took a psychology 101 class, but positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement being you communicate to your children what you want them for doing something good, and thereby encouraging them to feel good about themselves. Not encourage them to feel good about themselves. You encourage the same behavior to reoccur all the time. So it sounds very dry, but that's a lot of the language that you learn in psychology in university and those programs. So there's a bit of that. There's negative reinforcement too, which I feel like I'm going to get wrong, but it's to tell children or people in general what you don't like, so that you reduce that kind of behavior. So I'm thinking in very broad terms, because my psychology textbook is like full of cobwebs and dusty. So that's we learn a little bit about development that way.
Yeah. So let's talk about the differences between positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. So if a child is, what could be a good example, is misbehaving,
I grew up with ADHD and diagnosed at 12, and I was always in the principal's office. From kindergarten, I would finish whatever I was doing right away, and then I would just be a problem in the class. And anytime I acted out, I was sent to the principal's office, and my dad was the principal. So I got to have attention from my dad every time I acted out, or my mom was also working in the school at the time. So I learned that negative reinforcement gets me attention specifically from my parents. And not only are they my parents, but they also have power in this school. So I think I feel like a case study of negative reinforcement, and it's a struggle because you don't learn skills that people around you appreciate. You learn to get by, and you learn to survive on punishment as love.
Right. Yes. So we had my panik as a guest on this podcast, and we talked about how much of a different parent I am today to my 4-year-old than I was to my older kids. But just because of the life experience that I gained, and the healing that I've experienced, and the sobriety. And the kind of parent that I was back then was a very angry parent, and very impatient. My kids were not my priority, and they were a chore because I was so tired all the time, because the weekend was just party, and then either school or work. And I never had time to rest. So I was irritable, grouchy. I never played with my kids. I never brought them to the park. It was rare for me to take them on outings. So there was no relationship there. And that also comes from me not having a relationship with my own parents in my upbringing. Although there was no alcoholism involved in my childhood, in my household, but there wasn't a relationship either, because my parents were prioritizing their career during my upbringing. And to even go further than that, my mother became an orphan at 5 years old. Her mother died at 5 and her father died at 2 when she was 2. So she didn't have parental influences. She didn't have parents.
Yeah.
And then my father was biracial. He's biracial. He's Mohawk and he's French. And his father was very, very strict, like extremely strict in his upbringing. And like these two, my parents have very different experiences on how they were raised.
Yeah.
And they are biracial also. So coming from different cultures. And apparently my dad was very, very strict to my older siblings. But then with the death of my sister in 1989, who took her own life, he went completely the opposite, where he just no more.
It was earth-shattering for him, I guess.
Yeah. And there was no more boundaries, I guess. So I grew up kind of like limitless, and like there was no consequences to what I was doing. I got away with everything. No supervision. Like a lot of us grew up with no.
Yeah, I wouldn't let my kids do. I love my parents.
Yeah.
Yes, we all do.
But it was a different time then.
It was a different
safer
time.
to be. Yeah, it was.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, it was different dangers.
Yeah.
It was different dangers back then. Like, I mean,
it wasn't societal judgment that was the danger at the time. Like right now, if you were parenting the way our parents did, you would be canceled like instantly.
Yeah. But this is the cancel era, cancel everything. But yeah, so I'm learning more now, like as an adult now, on what positive and negative reinforcements are. I try my best. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I'm very mindful now in the way I speak to my child.
Yeah.
And I'm very mindful. Like I'm aware now how I was spoken to when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And how that really
became your inner
monologue, the inner voice. Because the way we were spoken to by our parents or whoever is most influential in our life becomes our inner voice. And we can't distinguish whether it's our own voice talking to us or that voice.
The conditioning.
So that's what I'm mindful of now on how I speak to my child. Like with my older kids, if they like spilled a juice on the counter or on the floor, I would get super mad. And now I'm just like, this is part of development. This is like, even like everybody spills a glass of like,
I feel like our upbringing, I have similar experiences with my parents, maybe that to the ones you're describing. Like wasn't in your household to see that, but how you're describing it with how close of a relationship you had with your parents. I feel like my parents were always there. They were not separated. We didn't. I could say that it didn't feel like a chaotic household. They were stable. They always had jobs.
And that's what I felt when I went into your house too.
And but I also felt some absence of something, and it took me a long time to understand what that was. And my parents are wonderful, but they're not as emotionally available as we are. I think that's what I observe.
Yeah,
I think it might be a generational thing. It might be sort of from the fact that they're in biracial relationships. It's a biracial couple. It might be that, I also wonder what old school Inuit traditional child rearing was. Is it like, we talk a lot about colonization, but when I think about Inuit just in pure form before contact with Europeans, I wonder, are we a little bit more like the Asians? And that was like an eye-opener for me living in Hong Kong too, because you learn a lot about living there for a year. You learn a lot about culture and particularities and how people raise their families, at least from a distance. So it made me think, what are our sort of old school child rearing practices? And one of the things I'm realizing as I'm doing this, when you asked me this is not what you asked me, but it felt like it, like, what does psychology and all your background in psychology say about child rearing and an upbringing? I'm realizing it came up hugely short on that, because I can tell you 3-5 years of psychology study in the universities, it talked a lot about the individual. It was geared towards, again, I studied in the early 2000s, which were just on the heels of the late 90s. It's probably not like this today, but a lot of what you were told about psychology is you go into a room with a professional, it's one-on-one, and you figure out your problems, and you're the single source of an issue that should be solved, or as a client you want to solve as a patient.
Like you're existing in a vacuum.
Yeah, and so the university textbooks don't talk a lot about child rearing unless you go look for them. There's a few of them, but the bulk of it is individual psychotherapy.
Right.
But also on the other side, there's a huge section of pathology, which is just the aim to try and diagnose people, which doesn't necessarily fix things in itself. It's just trying to name something.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's probably a lot missing in how universities and the world of psychology, at least when I was going to school, how they haven't really addressed that much.
Yeah, the work that I do with Shauna Hordijk, who was also our guest on Northern, when we give grief support and healing workshops, we touch on that a lot, where Western medicine is very individualistic.
Yeah.
It's treating a problem and not at the sources.
Yeah, like not really going into the support system. And what we teach in our grief support training workshops is that it's who you have around you and that really help you in your healing.
And before even doing anything, before diagnosing anything, before calling anything, looking at what has already been working for them, what has been working for them, and then we adapt after that. You know, it's not you do it like this, and they work like this, and this is their diagnosis. And I mean, we're different. We're not the same people that are in your textbooks. We're not the same subjects. We haven't been raised the same way. Parts of our brain are turned on here that are not turned on for you, and we have such different experiences. So you have to look at what has worked for us first, and before you can analyze.
Yeah, we're not. We don't live. Inuit in particular are very collective, right?
Yeah.
So when you apply like an individualistic psychotherapy, psychology mindset in the academia, it often doesn't work.
And that's like that goes that can be therapy. Like I talk about therapy. I champion therapy. Like I want people to get therapy. And when I say that, I say it's because a lot of people think therapy is like exactly you're talking to someone, you're on a chair.
Talking to a khandana.
Yes, it's hard in the beginning when you're not used to it, when you're not familiar with it, especially when you're someone who has never learned the skills of expressing your feelings. When you've never been allowed to be angry, when you've never been allowed to be sad, which we'll get into in part 2. But therapy is not. To me, anyways, I mean, I think to a lot of people too, it's not someone telling you what to do to fix yourself. Therapy is learning to talk about your emotions, what hurts you. You don't have to get into details. You don't have to tell them the nitty-gritty.
It's like sorting it out.
Like
you're there to sorting it out.
Yeah, just like releasing a lot of thoughts, painful memories, and like when we're not dealing with our emotions, they just swell and swirl and boil within us
and collect.
and collect, and they make us bitter. To the point
not
where
only they make us sick, they come up as autoimmune issues, cancer.
They come up. Yeah,
blood pressure
exactly.
issues. So much harm is done by holding on
heart disease. And
then we're trying to medicate all of that pain through various things, whether it be alcohol, drugs, and eating, or there's many ways to self-medicate. And defense mechanisms from preventing us from facing a lot of that discomfort.
So what's the solution? It's to me, the solution would be to take somebody who's able to give therapy, but pair them with somebody who is of the people and understands, and you work together to because I mean, it's so much more than just getting help. I mean, I speak from my experience because I have a really hard time getting help. But when you look at Inuit, a lot of Inuit, they've been so broken down. We're not even broken down like that. There are Inuit that are so broken down and so colonized and so told that they are wrong, that they are undeserving. I mean, you can see where an Inuk person is walking on the street and they have to cross the street and there's a stop sign and there's a white man in the car and he will run across the street because he feels like he's a burden to the man in a vehicle who has to wait for him to pass. Now, how are you going to get someone like that so with so little self-esteem to therapy when you can't even get me to therapy?
That's a pretty critical question because I've seen that. Because and I've experienced it. I remember before attending therapy, there is this minimizing. You mentioned it earlier, but in a different context here, you go, yeah, but things are bad, but it's not as bad as this person, or I didn't lose my sibling or parent this way. Both have my parents. So you go through all these kind of justifications.
And you put yourself behind the line, back of the line, back of the line.
Yeah, you minimize yourself.
I think the good thing about therapy is that it allows you to lay down your burden on someone who's not already burdened too.
Yeah.
Because, sharing with friends and family is so important, but you also don't want to increase their burden with yours if they're not ready or if they're not able to respond to the kind of things you need to let go of. And therapists are, you can, like, I've gone into the most humiliating moments in my life that I have never spoken aloud with my therapist. And she has been able to help me see myself as a person, equally as a person as everyone else around me. And have compassion for myself and understand why I felt that way or reacted that way. Or like, therapy is not for everyone. It's really, and my thing is, everything is not for everyone. Like, some things work for some people, and therapy works for me, works for you. It might not work for others, and maybe you won't find a therapist that works for you. But the goal is to start releasing. And for me, I find writing helps a lot. Before I was in therapy, and it doesn't even have to be like a diary. You can write fiction. I write fiction. I've been writing fiction as therapy pretty much since I could write. And just, you don't have to hold on to things.
And therapy is like, it just comes naturally sometimes too. I mean, like even our elders going out on the land, like, this is therapy without
talking.
Getting therapy.
These kinds of things, like art, writing.
Well, that's it for me too.
Movement,
Yeah, like
any movement. It regulates the nervous system. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm okay. I'm okay because I've done so much art, you know?
Yeah.
And I did it all by myself in my little basement. I need therapy. I probably need medication, but that kept me okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just want to comment on access to therapy because it's hard to get therapy up north.
Yeah, very
but
much.
what I do is I went on Ordre des psychologues de Québec, and you can enter all of the criteria you want. So when I started therapy, I was going through a really difficult time in my professional life. And it was soon, I took an extended break from drinking for a while. So I had been sober for a couple of months when I started therapy. And I was just in my undiluted feelings for months. And I didn't want to pick up the bottle. So I went to therapy. And I did intensive therapy for a month. But I found my therapist on this website. And you can
we
enter,
link that too?
Yeah.
That's something I would need.
The criteria you want. So I wanted a female. I wanted an English-speaking therapist. I would have preferred a person of color. All of these different criteria, and then you hit search, and it gives you a list. You put your PO box to it. It gives you a list of therapists in your area who provide the services you're looking for. And what I do is I just pay for it, and then I submit my receipts and I get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting on a list and maybe seeing the same therapist as 50 of your closest friends and relatives.
Because that's
which
an
is
issue
kind of
too.
illegal. It's actually not permitted, but it happens in the north. When there's one therapist in Bujuk or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
we
you see them
mentioned
at
that.
the bar.
Yeah. Like my therapist, my own therapist, when I was still with my ex, she couldn't even give us couples therapy as a couple because I was her individual client. So that's how much they're not supposed. Like I couldn't recommend her to you if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So it's possible. It's just you have to take the actions and pay, and then take the action to get your money back.
And that's my fear for the man that's crossing the street, running across the street. Like, how are we going to get them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's these extra steps that just
make barriers.
Red tape after red tape.
But the privilege of speaking English and French too is not a small thing.
Yeah. And to have someone who's qualified or understands the concepts of counseling. I remember a fascinating request that I got from the mayor of Guyana a couple of years ago. I was going to do it, but it didn't work out with my work schedule. Her community was going through a rough patch, and she wanted to have sort of an Inuit-led, let's concentrate on us week for her community. And they would put together conferences, workshops, and various well-being initiatives during that week. And she invited me. Her ask was fascinating. She said, Jason, we hear about therapy and counseling, but it's never really been explained in Inuktitut. You've studied it. Could you come and speak about it? And I was a little bit uncomfortable because I had just been out of the system for a while. But she said, no, just almost like you had asked, like, what did you learn about psychology and therapy that is applicable to Inuit and Northern situations? So I started coming up with sort of an outline. And one of the things I realized that a lot of people might not know is the cornerstone of confidentiality. Our communities have beautiful parts. There are parts that are more difficult, that it's hard to find someone who will be a listening ear, who will just listen to you as much as possible, not judgmentally, without giving you advice or saying, you should do this, or feeling sorry for you, but sitting with your feelings and empathizing with your feelings and helping you process it.
Yes.
You process it and you walk away. And the cornerstone of confidentiality, I think is underappreciated, is that therapist or counselor is like, they're risking their license if they divulge what you're saying. And that's a super protective, it makes it sort of like this room, like this very closed, safe space. And one of the things I realize, like, therapy is so necessary for the limitations that I mentioned in the psychology and university worlds. Therapy is so needed, and it's so needed up north.
Yeah.
Not necessarily by everyone, as we said, but for those who are in pain, it can be helpful.
Yes.
And I think people don't understand it enough, the value of that, where you have someone who's there just to listen to you for an hour or 50 minutes, and they are not there to make you feel good by saying, they're not going to bitch about your ex or your friend who did you wrong. Like, they're not just going to automatically side with you. And there's a huge value in having a neutral, professional person who processes your feelings in an open way. And it takes time to do that. And I think that was the other thing that I wanted to talk about when they invited me to consider, but I never did, which is, it's a process. Your problems do not get fixed in one sitting, not in two, not in three. It's a whole discovery, and it's a lot of work.
Yes.
But it's precious. It's rare, and it's hard to find.
It's worthwhile.
And there's reasons why we don't do it with our friends or family members or even our spouses. Like, we can share things with our spouses, our most trusted person in our life. But we still want, that person lives in many parts of your life as a spouse or a father or as a
they
person
have a role.
You pay bills with. You need someone else to process your baggage, and I think that's the beauty of it. And I agree, it's not present enough.
Yeah, and I love that idea of being a process. So we're going to cover that in part 2. Thank you so much. Follow us for part 2 with Jason Annahatak. Welcome back to part 2 with our friend Jason Annahatak. To Northern. We're going to start with this infamous Dubai chocolate.
Dubai chocolate.
You do it. No, you do it. You do the honors.
I'm shy. Dubai chocolate. Everybody's been trying this on social media.
Well, Chris wants some.
Wait in line. Back of the line. Back of the line. Only people who get trophies get Dubai chocolate.
Yeah, this is Tanya's trophy for being best driver of 2025.
I love my trophy.
Because she drove all the way to Montreal from New Brunswick.
Look how pretty.
Let me
see. It matches your Homer shirt.
Cute. It
does.
So let's see what the big fuss is about. These are not cheap, hey?
No.
Oh, dear.
And they're heavy.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
dear. Now what?
Don't
Just
stop.
break it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to share.
It looks like... Okay.
I'll take the other half of your one.
Okay.
It looks like wet grass.
Yeah.
Like
To put it
spring.
It's so good.
wet
moss. Arctic moss.
Oh, yeah. Here, Jason.
Oh, that's too much. Okay.
It's Friday night.
Okay, good. Oh, wow. This is really my first time. Really my first time.
Okay.
I dropped it on the... Okay, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ready? Cheers, B.
Cheers.
Stop staring at us.
A few minutes later.
I love it.
Mmm.
Must be nice.
Hey, that is
It
good.
is.
It is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
worth
this thing is like $20.
$25.
$25.
5 minutes later.
10 out of 10, Chris.
You here?
Oh, there's more, huh? Yeah.
More?
Much later.
I love that.
That was good.
Can we get a Dubai chocolate bar every episode?
That's gonna blow our budget. I don't know how that's gonna look in the Ungaluk application, the report, the final report. Okay, let's get right back into Northern Part 2. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, Jason.
Thank you.
What kind of support do you think fathers need in Nunavik? Or need more of?
Good question.
I think there's a lot of areas to do social support that is not necessarily highly technical, like therapy services, which are like in need and not often places not existent in many communities. But I think there's things that are cropping up, like men's associations and support networks, that I think are more on the informal side with regards to professional services, but do a huge, and they're the part that addresses the more cultural, collective, community aspect of our well-being. I think I'm not involved in a lot of them, but from what I see, that the communities that have them have, a little bit more of an active and involved group of men. That's, and I'm saying that from a distance, not knowing them well, but that's the impression I get. So I think men's associations, workshops for men to socialize in a setting that isn't necessarily just partying, and because there's a lot of that happening too. I'm not always up north, but I live down here, but I go up north to go camping, hunting, fishing, boating, mostly in the summer. And even camping and being outdoors, there's an element that many people, not everyone, but there's many people who bring booze. Yeah. And I find that's too bad. And that for me confronts what I find beautiful about being outdoors. That thing I mentioned in the earlier episode, where the magic of growing up north, waking up on a calm summer morning, there's no mosquitoes, there's no wind. It's a magical time because the mosquitoes will come. But that's serenity. And sometimes that doesn't exist even for some people who don't always, who go camping or fishing. So I think there's a lot of space to build associations or support networks that are explicitly not meant to like they're meant to provide a space that is not around the culture of partying, which is frequent in young men. I guess everywhere, not just in Inuit communities, but in the South too, in non-Inuit communities. But I think that space needs an extra push in our communities for well-being.
Yeah. There's a lot of activities that are happening now, cultural activities like the associations you mentioned, but it always seems to be women who are more involved in these. And why do you think men are less involved in these kinds of things?
I don't want to get too gender stereotypical, but I think there's something there about just the way we socialize across cultures. Yeah. So I think that's a part of it. I don't want to pretend like pontificate and diagnose things that are past or other people, but we were talking about earlier about our parents' generation and their parenting style, and how in my characterization there's a bit more distance, emotional distance between our parents to us compared to us to our kids. I know I'm very affectionate with my kids. I would imagine a lot of us are with our kids at this point, and I notice that difference. So I think what I also notice in that generational change is that parenting from fathers it's got a cold edge. Someone mentioned earlier how I think your grandparents, your father's parents.
Yeah, my grandfather
had a very strict father, right?
Yeah.
I remember very little about Samueli, but I did catch him because he passed away when I was 6. And,
was your grandfather?
Yeah. And the very little I remember of him, he was very strict. It's revered and feared, right?
I mean, I wasn't alive when he died, but I've heard that he was a very Iliranatuk person. Mm-hmm.
And what's funny about that is someone like that is traditional and principled, and they're very opinionated and strong. But they also grew up at a time when very extreme strictness was very common among men. And I think that has changed probably for the better, where we're able to have closer relationships with our kids and also with each other, with our peers, other men. But we still haven't gone that far enough. I think there's still a lot of work to do to teach ourselves as men to be more social with each other.
But also the help that has come in or that has been offered, like you think of, if your boat is sinking, you say, save the women and children, save the women and children. So all this help that's new, that's coming to the North, that, we're starting to have grieving workshops. The priority was for the women, so it's lagging for them too, and it's so important to heal our men. I know even when we talked about the grieving workshops, the first one or the one out on the land, it's for girls, which is of course, but I think we need to put more, send more help to the men.
Effort. I think the workshop that's for girls, it's a woman organizing.
Yeah,
it.
True.
We're doing the things in most communities. If you look at the people who are doing the work of operating the daycare, operating the municipality, most of the people who are elected at the community level are women. Most of the people who finish school in Nunavik are women or girls. the plight of the girl child in Nunavik is one of hardship, but I think the unfair situation that boys are put in is so underappreciated, because the intersection between traditional masculinity and colonial masculinity is really sharp, and I feel that it takes the worst of both worlds and creates this situation that men feel they have to fit into. And I'm only saying this as a woman, and as a woman who has done things for my peers, as someone who can appreciate another person's suffering and connect and empathize, and who's taken action. I wouldn't feel comfortable to do that for men, for a man. I feel that has to really come from men. And I'm just wondering, what do you think it is that keeps men from achieving their full potential, or even stepping out of the box to try?
That's a big question. It's hard to venture an answer. I think coming back to role models, I think that's one part of it. And I don't mean role models like we were talking about achieving universities or big jobs. I think role models in certain situations where there's unsung heroes in our communities. The people who don't have the top job, the men who don't have
the right name or whatever.
Yeah, or the big boat, or the big flashy pickup truck. There's I think part of us in our consumerist world, we're connected, we're on our phones, we have access to everything that is mainstream cultural. We look at that and we get, and myself included, like we get
the desire to participate.
Distracted, yeah. We get FOMO, we chase that. But there's a lot of Inuit men who go about their quiet lives with a lifestyle that's admirable, who take their families out fishing on a regular basis. They're minding their own business. They're not competing. They're not competing for
integrity.
either
They
jobs.
have integrity.
Yeah. So I think
true integrity.
Yeah.
I think to answer maybe your part of your question, because we get, I don't know if it's a question of media or highlighting those people through our Facebook or through our celebrations culturally, but I feel like we're not highlighting a lot of those people who are kind of unsung, not often not seen, but are sort of part of the backbone of some of the communities who do, like, who are the reliable guides for kids who want to go out on excursions in school, on school trips in the spring, in the summer. So I think there's people out there, but we're not focusing on them. I think that's one element. And we're not celebrating that kind of lifestyle where someone is stable, not necessarily trying to compete or be the top dog. We're definitely not doing enough of that. I think we need to highlight people who are
that have realistic goals. Like, not everybody needs to be looking at somebody who's trying to be a rock star.
Yeah.
You know, like, to just have
not everybody
a peaceful,
can be solid daqiq.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Which also, I mean, dingling in my head for, I always think of like when men healing, because it's so important to me. It's a subject that I feel very strongly about, and my partner Joey, I think, is doing something for that has maybe never really been done this way before. He really sings from a man's perspective about pain and healing and his journey and his mistakes and his falling down and his getting back up. So we're getting there, we're getting there. But yeah, like celebrating the more realistic people.
There's always an urge to put someone on a pedestal and to accentuate excellence, but really I feel like we should all have the right to be totally plain and really mediocre and have an average little life and do our comfortable little things. But as Inuit, because our communities are so small, when someone does something that is considered outstanding, then they are put on a pedestal, and then they are made an example, and then you cannot stray from this perfect image, or you're disappointing a whole generation of kids. Like, we have to be allowed to be private, regular individuals at the same time too.
What I really
even if you go to Hong Kong.
What I really envy about some families in Nunavik is the way a family will help each other, will go camping together, will share meals together. Their cousins are always together. They're bonded together.
My favorite Inuktitut word is Nayatsak and Anitsak, which is the word for cousins, and it's as a sister or as a brother. Like, that's how close I think we're meant to be.
And this was the way we were as an Inuit society. We were in one tent, in one igloo. And today we live in separate houses, but there's some families that see each other every single day. When a mom has to go away, the child stays with their grandparents or aunts, and like people just take care of each other.
Yeah.
Like families just do things for each other, because for many of us, we don't have healthy siblings. And that's what I struggle with, where I don't call my siblings and they don't call me. And that breaks my heart because we don't have the same lifestyle. And that's not on purpose.
Yeah.
We just don't connect the way I wish we did. Like, I wish we had a relationship, but we're just with addictions in the way. You can't connect. And I really envy families that do things together all the time.
Yeah, they make it seem
seamless.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I was younger, I have similar feelings about our communication style in my own home and my parents and my extended family to a certain extent as well. And I remember watching films where there's Italians. It's fictional because it's a film, but like the typical stereotypical Italian family who are just eating together all the time. And if you feel something, you tell your mother, your father, and there's hand gestures and people are getting a little bit upset, but they're together. And, and I'm sure there are variations of that kind of scenario, but what I always used to envy that. Like to sit together, to eat on a regular basis. And not only that, to be able to tell each other how you feel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's an imaginary thing that I've just seen in the movies and I've ascribed it to Italians, but maybe people who are from Latin backgrounds who have that warmth of the stability of your relationship, knowing that it's there and you can tell your loved one, hey, I don't like this, or this is what I really think, to have a engaging conversation.
Yes. And like it does exist because now that's my household. Like I said earlier, Arsenik was here as our guest on Northern, and we were talking about how her upbringing is very different than Inumanak's upbringing. Inumanak is 4, and my partner is Quebecois, and his upbringing is very different than my upbringing. And this is the first time where I see firsthand a parent telling a 3-year-old, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be angry. It happens sometimes, or it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
Because we weren't told, like I was told, shut the fuck up. Like, not like my parents didn't swear, but they literally said, stop crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we were not allowed. Yeah, we were not allowed to be sad or cry or show signs.
Pout or sigh. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, none of that. And this is exactly what shapes a person to hide emotion, to suppress emotion. But now, my partner is very, his values are, and they are my values too. I share those values too. But he really makes sure that we reinforce it where we sit together and share meals together and talk to each other.
Yeah.
And like I did have that in my household because my father is big on that too. And like he cooks and then we've always eaten together. But to have someone that like really, really makes sure that the child is heard. And it's like, this really does exist.
Yeah. It's presence, right?
It's presence.
Yeah.
And like that, the presence, that's what I try to be when I'm home, because I'm on the road a lot. Like I'm a musician. So I do interpreting. So I have to go away, and I've given myself limits to how often I travel and to how long I'm away. And every single time I'm away, we FaceTime every dinner time.
You did last evening here.
Yeah,
right here.
yeah. My partner is very
structured
basically. That way.
Yeah.
And Inumanak, just last week, I think last week when I was away, you could tell that she was upset. She's not quite 4 yet, but she was upset. She was not acting like herself on FaceTime. And I could tell that she was upset. And she wasn't talking back to me. She wasn't responding. She wasn't smiling. She just looked sad during our FaceTime. And I said, she looks sad. Like, is there something that happened? And then her dad says, are you sad? And she went like this. And are you sad because Anana's not here? And she went like this. And I like, she nodded. And then I said, I'm coming soon. I know you're sad and I'm sorry, but I'm going to be home soon. And then and at the same time, her father was holding her and saying, oh, it's okay. Yeah, we're sad sometimes, but it's okay. You're sad that Anana's away. It makes you sad. It's okay. And then as soon as we both validated her feelings, then she was like, started talking and being herself again.
Yeah.
She could move on.
Yeah. And that's what we all need. And that's what we needed as children. And that's why we need therapy, because we didn't have that.
And that's why we have to raise our children like that. Because they are, so that we're not left with all this trauma and compounded grief and people dying and people getting on drugs and abusing alcohol. We need to start with the children.
Yeah.
I have a question for actually all of you. You're all parents. And Jason, I know that you and your wife, Jen, you go back and forth to Inuk with your boys. I'm just wondering the differences between parenting in the north, in Nunavik, and parenting in the city, and the difficulties and the easy parts of both on as a parent, and maybe the impact it has on the kids too. Just curious.
We were talking about bullying earlier, and I remember when we went to the New Year's dance a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, your Angusia, my older son Henry, the kids are running around in the gymnasium, right? And he's just going to go straight there. And he went like he didn't know anybody. He just started doing what other kids are doing. And then he got picked on by someone.
Who do I fight? Whose kid am I going to slap?
So, yeah. And he came back crying, and he was just so disoriented. Mm-hmm. He was disoriented by a kid. Hi, how are you? What's your name? They didn't fight. They didn't play for a minute, and then he got pushed. No, he just went straight for the push. Like he just because my son, apparently I didn't see it, he hung around, and then he just went, and he was just shocked. So it ruined the night. That was his first impression of Christmas dancing. And remember what I said about Christmas dancing.
People are violent.
I love these.
Being a little baby in the Christmas dance, you get trampled to death.
Yeah.
Like, people are not aware.
But that's the thing too. Like to contrast parenting south and north, parents are just like, kids are just running around, and they're almost getting trampled by the dance. But the kids are used to it. They grew up in that. They know how to avoid not being run over, right? Mm-hmm. But we were there, and he got hurt. He got a bad impression, and then we had to go home, and it was like a really bad first impression. But it's also our reaction. We're like, oh my God, shit! It's not that we overreacted, but we were upset about it, and then. But the other thing is that, like, if we had brought him up, like, he would know who his friends are. He would know that some of this is there's a little, maybe it might not be healthy or good, but it's common.
Yeah,
it's common that
he would expect maybe.
Yeah, some pushing. So he was like kind of violently smacked in the face by the northern feel of Christmas dancing by other kids. That's one thing. So. I think as a Southern parent, I'm overprotective of my kids. I'm very hypersensitive of them not getting hurt. Try not to be a helicopter parent, but I am very attentive to their needs. But it's also, I question whether that's the right thing to do. So there's a little bit of hurting that kids get. Hopefully, it's not a serious hurt, falling or being pushed a little bit, or just
that's beneficial to their growth.
Mm-hmm. Go through a little bit
in the way
of
they interact with other people too. Like that's how kids learn to live in society with other kids too.
Remember envying, because my son was so split. Like his father has been so present. We were 50-50 with my son, but 50-50 meant 50% in Montreal and 50% in Kuujjuaq. And I can remember, because I was a bit helicoptery. I am like, I didn't want to be. Yeah, I am. I am. I didn't want to be. And I can remember, like, say, for instance, my cousins, Harvey's girls, and seeing how able their kids were in the north. How it was so second nature to them to jump on the Bravo, go to the store, pick up something, and my son would not even know how to start the Bravo, much less pay for something at the cash. Mm-hmm. And really struggling with that, really. But I mean, at the same time, then my son was very capable in other things where you don't necessarily learn in the North, so it's a really, really hard thing to balance, and wanting so much of the freedom and knowledge you get from growing up in the North. So it's been a struggle. I think that, but I think we did pretty good. I think we did pretty good. Maybe by fluke, and maybe by kind of doing things the wrong way sometimes and just testing things out. But we were very thoughtful in our decisions with Nunavik, and if we do this, he'll gain this, he'll be exposed to this, pros and cons of everything, and then weighing that out and then making the decision. But
together as co-parents.
Together, yeah, absolutely together. And to this day, and my son is 16 now, and still we're having these discussions about what about this, or what about this, and what if this, and this weighs out this. So I think we did all right. It's hard, but it's doable, and certainly he'll be different. He'll always be different than if he had grown up completely in this. And I guess it's the same situation for me too, because there was a time where I could have went either way. Also, I could have just been really raised in the South, and kind of all that culture that I had absorbed in my years, and so probably would have kind of been deleted, So I don't even know what the question was anymore.
So yeah,
just the contrast of parenting in the South versus the North.
I raised my older kids until they were 5 and 7 in Annahatak, and then we moved down here, and the contrast is vast. Like, it's enormous. It's because up north we had my parents, we had they were playing with their neighbors, they always had friends over, and then down here
you have to make a play date to hang out.
I have to plan 1 month in advance to see Jason and his family.
We live 5 minutes apart by walking, and I have to plan to see him and his family.
I get that. Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So that's very different. I get asked sometimes if I would move back, and there are parts of me that would love to move back, but there are also parts of me that really don't want to go back, just because of the social issues that there are, and the lack of
there's no way to meet your needs. I mean, and if it's not,
this is very personal. Like, my career, where it is now with my music career, I don't want to lose that. And I find that if I go back living up north, I would lose a lot of opportunities just because of the cost of airline tickets. It wouldn't be worth it for anyone to fly me anywhere in the world. And Montreal is such a hub that, it's an international airport, so I can go anywhere from here. And my precious band is here. I don't think they would survive without me.
You. Yeah.
So I'm doing it for them. I'm not doing it for my family. It's because of my band that I'm in Montreal. But more seriously, I the things that kids are exposed to today in Nunavik is not the same as what we were exposed to in our childhood. the reality is, when I was a child, it was rare to see anyone drunk during the day.
Yeah. It was a lot more scarce, right? Alcohol was a lot more scarce and
Yeah.
rare.
And when that did happen, it was like a big thing.
Yeah. It was
A big
a whole
town.
like,
Everybody knew about it.
yeah. Yeah. But now
It's normal.
It's many, you can see many people drunk during the day at the store, at the airport.
Not even you can, you will.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah.
And that's what I cannot expose my kids to. And make my kids think that that's normal. And that's the
And that
dark
it's part
reality.
of our identity as a community. Like, I feel like that's something that people really latch on to when they come into our communities, but it's not something that kids should have to witness, and certainly not internalize and normalize and aspire to. Like, I don't think that anyone sees someone drunk at the co-op in the daytime and thinks that's going to be me one day. But
But
fact
what they
is,
do think
this
is-
is the reality, and this is normal.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
What they do think
Yeah.
is, oh my God, maybe I'm going to be like that one day. I don't want to be like that one day. Or if I am like that, whatever, it's okay.
They're like that. Why
Yeah.
can't I be like?
Yeah.
And like just kids who are doing a normal day-to-day thing, just going to the store,
Yeah.
witness violence because there's drunk people who are just
Mouthing off.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I have a hard time with also, where even if it gets you labeled, if it gets me labeled as someone who's overly sensitive, who doesn't like violence, and I don't think anyone does, but sometimes you see that in its physical form, but sometimes it's also just how people treat each other verbally.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of kindness that still needs, like, is lacking and needs to be nurtured in our communities. And this is it's there when you can strip away all of that and you have a good day or a good week visiting your family up north. It's there. It's beautiful, but it's the stray mouthing off of even one or two.
There's always the chance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
like,
it happens, and it's disheartening, even if you're not hit physically, even if you're not insulted physically, even to witness it. And this is one of the things I think that collectively we're not talking about, where civility and kindness to each other is underrated.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. I don't know what the solution is to push it, but we've gotten to a point where it's lacking, and I think we need to build it.
On civility and public drunkenness and kids. I managed the co-op for many years, too many years. I put too many years of my life into it, but I got to see the daily life. And then I trained managers at other co-ops, different co-ops. And most of the co-ops rely on teenagers, students to operate. And the abuse that is dumped on these kids who are just trying to earn like their little $12 an hour. Yeah. Because people are so comfortable to be out here drunk and angry or drunk and aggressive, and putting literal children through this in the workplace, in their own workplace, is something that I don't feel like people have enough shame over.
again, it's that like the lack of consequences and accountability that we see a lot in our communities, unfortunately. And that is just accepted.
Yeah.
It's normalized.
I don't know where anyone, Inuit or not, learns about the value of structure, of discipline. But one of the things I've realized culturally, I mean, leaving aside the drinking and social issues part. Just what I've noticed is we're generally a non-confrontational people. We don't like confrontation. Take out all the alcohol and drugs, and you realize what people are very pleasant with each other. People are civil.
Yes.
And what's fascinating is that's where the beauty is.
Yes.
But one of the things, even though non-confrontation as a value, as a cultural value, is dear to me, is beautiful, the underside of that is
you're forced to be confrontational.
Yeah. Where I was going to go with it was that, like, often in our relationships, what it means is people don't want to burden other people. Whether it's parents with their kids, they don't want to burden their kids with rules. You got to come out. You got to come home at 8:00. There's a curfew. You got to eat this kind of food. You have to do this. And so I think there's that structure, and that is discipline. And I think a lot of Inuit, partly in relation to our value of non-confrontation, we don't want to burden people with all these rules to follow. We're what's beautiful about our past, our history, is that we're an easygoing, go with the flow, don't think about the future too much, nor the past. We're present. We're present-minded. That's the nice thing. But when we're just going with the flow with all of our lives and all of our communities, what's missing is there's a lack of structure. And when kids don't have that, when kids don't, we think that's a good thing. It's when we say, okay, you don't have to eat this kind of food. You don't have to come home by a certain time. You don't have to do this or that. We think by giving no restrictions or discipline, that's a good thing. I think the conversation we have to have is structure is good.
Yes.
Discipline is good. And when you're a leader, in the sense where parents, the same word as boss, someone has to wear the pants in our different relationships, whether it's from parents to kids or workers to employers to employees, or mayors to their community, landholding elected people to their constituents. There's this relationship, and our leaders, whether they be parents or mayors or elected, they have to put the structure in. But I see that lacking a lot.
Yeah.
I went off a little bit on that.
No, this is so true. And then for those of us who are trying to apply structure and trying to be organized in our daily life, we're labeled as lukwapik.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to be haluna.
Perfect.
No, I'm just trying to have a fucking normal, stress-free, stable life.
Yeah.
And
kids want that.
Need that. They need that.
They want to be able to let go of feeling like they're the ones in charge. They want to know that somebody's in charge. They want to know that somebody has their back. They want to know that if they're in trouble, somebody going to help them. Yeah.
Somebody cares to say, it's time to go home. Yeah. It's time to eat. It's time to sleep. It's time to go to school. And it's not trying, like, it's like my parenting style and my parents' parenting style are very different. And I'm learning so much with this, my youngest child, what structure is. Like I although I was a wreck with my older kids when they were younger, I tried to have structure anyway.
You
Bedtime
did the
routine.
best you did with what you had.
You brush your teeth in the morning, and then you brush your teeth at night. It's bath time. The meal times structured, clean, like have clothes that supply their needs, provide for their needs, and like Yeah.
The unfortunate thing with that up north is you can do that at home as much as you possibly want to or can, but then the daycare has no structure and the school has no structure.
That's exactly why I cannot move back up. Like the sacrifice is that my children are not immersed in their Inuit culture the way I wish they would. But I do my best down here.
Yeah.
We do our best down here. I speak the language to my child. We eat our cultural food. I sew
Your
our
friends are
clothing.
Inuit, people come
She's exposed to other Inuit. We travel up north to be with my family. So she is exposed, but that's the sacrifice that I decided as a mother, because I want my children to have structure for their future, because they have a future. And the way we need that children need structure is my point. And as parents, it's hard when we've been raised without boundaries and without consequences. It's really hard. I'm still learning. Like I've had to really unlearn some of the bad habits from my upbringing. That like the no boundary thing. That's hard.
Yeah.
It's still hard for me, but I try and apply it when I have to, so that my child knows what they are, so that she will be stable enough and strong enough to refuse treatment that she doesn't want, and not also be that person that doesn't respect other people's boundaries.
Because that's a big thing too.
Totally. I'm sad to say that we're already in the end of our episode. And I want to end with something positive.
More chocolate.
More trophies.
More trophies.
Hanok.
More
Sarah.
beverages.
I got so many mugs this week.
You should drink out of the trophy too.
Yeah. That's the best idea ever, Janice.
Eat poutine out of it. Like
I'm
a
sorry,
Stanley Cup
like
champion.
this is the end of our like last episode and my brain is shot.
Dubai chocolate in the trophy.
Is there can we end on a positive note?
We should. Yeah.
Yes. So what do you want to see in Nunavik for the youth, for the children?
I want to see more physical spaces where groups can gather. I know some people might say, well, there's a community hall or the gym or arena. Yes, those are fine. They're typically sports, made for sports, but I'm more thinking about social gathering space, and not overly big space, because that, a space matters. But places where people can sit down and have coffee and snacks and connect. Whether that's, I think one of the wonderful things is that many communities, I believe, have sewing centers. So those are wonderful places.
There's also family houses. Yeah. Where people, like garbage men, for example, will just come in and have a coffee.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Sit with other people.
I've seen the one in Puvutnituk, pictures of the one in Puvutnituk. It looks really nice, where on a given day they have either men. I've seen the men welcoming ones, and then I think they have elders ones too. Places like that, I think those are, in some communities they exist. And in a way, even though they're not individuals, those are the unsung heroes of the communities.
And those are the skeleton of the communities.
Yeah.
Those are where everybody's good memories are going to be forever, and where you received good news and where you sat with somebody maybe for the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So I think that's my thinking. Like, I'd love to see those more. A few of them exist.
Love that.
But for them to be a lot more common and to be investment,
And
for there to be investments.
Yeah, diverse spaces.
Yeah, yeah. Could be for youth some days, elders, men, women, and for different functions too.
And maybe a little dancing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what the gyms are for.
But small dancing where you don't get run over.
My son will like that.
Yeah. I want to answer that. What I want to see. We talk about so many subjects and so many things we're so passionate about. I mean, from being sober to raising healthy children to grieving, to being educated to eating healthy. But one thing that is so dear to my heart, and I think if we spent a little bit more kindness there, it could really trickle into something bigger. It's being kinder to our animals. I see the way that animals are treated in the north and the effects that has on children's empathy and the way that they feel it's okay to treat another living being. So if we can teach our children to be kind to animals,
which is totally a traditional, cultural value.
Yeah,
a
it
deep
is.
one.
Yeah, and it was pulled away by colonism.
Yeah,
and and I think being able to do that and starting there, treating the most helpless with kindness would grow many seeds. So that's what I would like to see.
Yes, totally. I agree with both of you.
I agree with that sentiment 100,000,000% too. I'm a dog person. I have 3 dogs, and we had so many litters of puppies because not only is this unkindness at the personal level, but institutionally it's difficult to have animals in the north and to keep them healthy and well.
Yes.
But I would like to see every community have water.
Yeah.
Access to water.
Basic human right.
Very much. Water.
That's lacking
and
now.
Housing and food and things we were always able to sustain ourselves, that we are now dependent on systems full of holes to maintain.
Yeah. That's also the reason why I can't
me too. I mean, they have Starlink now, but part of the reason why we left was we couldn't. The kind of work that we were doing, we couldn't keep up with the world, with the internet that we had. Like, it's impossible to meet your daily needs in the north, and so for most people, and so the emotional needs, the other needs are gonna go put on the back burner if you're not fed, if you're not hydrated, if you haven't slept. All of that has an impact on the way you treat the world around you.
Yeah, I agree with the water and the sewage problem. It's such a world of difference in the quality of life. And I think it's a huge injustice that we live in this country and we, Inuit up north, we don't have that. We don't have regular running water and sewage services the way they're set up in the south here.
Yeah, very much.
It's because it has so many impacts hygienically on your mental. It does have impacts on your mental health, on other things in life.
Huge.
So,
yeah. what I would like to see is the continuation of our beautiful culture of still practicing our values and our beliefs and helping each other and sharing the harvest of every animal that we catch, and the birthing and the raising of children together in a healthy way. Yeah. And that is it, my friends. It was great to be with you all. Yeah. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And my two
champion,
our champ here, world's best driver of 2025.
The year's not even half over.
And dear Janice here, and the tech crew here. That is it for part 2 with Jason Annahatak. Join us again for more episodes of Northern. Everyone at home, thank you again for your support. If you wish to support us further, be sure to head over to our Patreon on patreon.com/Northern and join us over on Discord and tell us what you think of this conversation. Bye.